We've got the form down. Let's get into this thing. We're gonna go into set one. We're gonna go 4 sets today. Time under tension is gonna be 1 minute on, 1 minute off. I've got these really cool looking bands on here. And what these bands represent is I want you to be able to see the path of motion that the bar represents. So this line is just an extension of where the resistance is coming from, and it's a good way to envision it when you're watching me. So what I'm gonna do with these, the way I'm gonna utilize this, is to show you that as you pull the bar down, since these bands represent a direct line from the bar straight to the ground, we want to keep your elbows underneath this bar the whole time. And why is that? Well, because this makes sure that your lats are directly in the plane of resistance throughout the motion. Once you lose contact with these, for me, with these bands, I've left the plane and my lats are pretty much, they're not nearly as engaged anymore. So when you keep your elbows underneath the bar, it's going to limit your range a little bit more. You may not be able to pull down as far, but just remember, if I'm here and I can't pull any lower without leaving the plane, this extra motion that I get from right here to here isn't lats anymore. You may feel like you're getting more from this, but you've left the path. So what you're feeling isn't what you're trying to actually work. So it's a lot better to quote unquote limit your range, which really isn't because your lats weren't involved anyway, and maintain the proper path of motion in direct line with the resistance. So that's how I'm gonna do this throughout these 4 sets. Okay, set 1. Timer is started. We're gonna guess a weight here at first because we don't know how much weight we should use yet, and we're gonna use this to evaluate at the end of the set if that weight was appropriate. So once again, I'm gonna bias my hands kind of around this bend, middle finger, monkey grip this way. I'm gonna place my hips as far back in this seat as I can because this is gonna help me maintain position. So that's what I want you to do too. And I'm gonna sit on the top of my hip bone with my chest up tall. I'm gonna tighten my back muscles before I move. I'm gonna make my back pull this bar down, maintaining the path of motion. This is about as low as I can pull without leaving the path. Squeeze and hold, controlling back all the way up. When I get to the top, I'm gonna let my shoulder blades drift up towards my ears. And then I'm gonna let my shoulder blades drift down and back as I pull back down. Elbows are going down and in towards the side of my rib cage, controlling back up. Shoulder blades drifting up towards my ears, pulling back down. Squeeze and hold, controlling back up. Shoulder blades drifting up towards my ears. 1 more rep. Mind muscle connection, thinking about tightening my lat muscles. Right here, I'm wanting to leave the plane, squeeze and hold, controlling back up to the starting position. Notice here that I'm not utilizing this pad. If you get enough load on here, then you may need an anchor. As of right now, I don't need this anchor because I don't have enough load to need it. I don't use this 99.9% of the time. This pad on most machines is positioned far enough this way that for you to get your knees underneath this thing makes it to where I have to, this is probably why people leave the plane. I have to essentially maneuver my torso this way to get in the right position to do this correctly. And it's all because of where my knees are in relation to this pad. If I scoot my butt back in this seat all the way back this way, this makes it so much easier to maintain an upright torso and to stay in line with this cable as opposed to already putting myself in this awkward position by bracing myself to where I can't hardly stay in this plane without doing this. And I think that's why a lot of people do this kind of a lat pull down right here. It's due to the way that they're sitting in the seat. So what I want you to do is whatever machine that you're using for this, because a lot of them are built differently, look at where your knee is in relationship to this pad and evaluate if that's going to pre-position you too far forward to where you can maintain the right position during this vertical pull. My bias is that most of you guys probably are not going to be able to use this and don't need to use this anyway, because most of you guys are using too much damn weight in the first place. Round 2. 1 minute. Okay, I'm gonna up the weight because I can. Hand position, we already know where that is. I'm gonna sit back in the seat. So look at where I am on the seat. I don't need this pad and I still have a decent amount of weight. Monkey grip with the hands. Shoulder blades are up towards my ears. I'm gonna tighten my back before I move. I'm thinking about my elbows going down and in this wide arc towards the side of my rib cage. I'm gonna squeeze and hold here, and then I'm gonna slowly release the tension from my back and make my back control my arms all the way back up. Shoulder blades are drifting up, tightening my back before I move. I'm gonna squeeze here for 3 seconds. 2, 1, controlling back up. I don't know if you can see a little bit of a shake, but I want you to watch something. I can do this all day. Same weight. What's the difference? I feel a ton of my bicep, I can tell you that right now. My back isn't totally working. My mind is not connected, and I'm just going through the motions. And that is way different than me tightening my back and making my back pull this thing down. If you were to look at an EMG right now of what was going on in my back muscles, which is a way, and it's called electromyography, it's a way of looking at what is actually contracting, different thing just happened. Rest. By the way, most of today is technique. This is a huge walkthrough, but this is the value of this. You don't get this other places. So where you position yourself in this seat, front to back, big deal. Where you position your hands, how wide you are, big deal. How you grip the bar, as far as are your hands too far around the bar? Are you positioning your wrist initially neutral to maintain the right path? A big deal. Those 3 things. Position front to back, positioning your hands widthwise, and then how you're positioning your hands and actually gripping this bar. Those things I want you to pay attention to today, and rewatch these videos if you need to. Scroll down, look at all the embedded content in the video you're watching, and that's gonna help you. On this 3rd set, I'm gonna go over more mind muscle stuff. So now we're gonna move on to more of intent and what I want you thinking about. Step 1, I'm gonna have my ass as far back on this thing as I can. Ass back, step 1. Step 2, width. Then step 3, fingers. Okay, ass is back, monkey grip, chest is up. I'm vertically positioning myself. Now I'm gonna think about tightening my back and making my back pull my elbows in this wide arc down and in towards the side of my rib cage. I'm not trying to take this bar down to my sternum. I'm trying to pull as low as I can in the path of motion. I'm gonna fight the resistance all the way up. Shoulder blades drift up, pulling down again. Mind muscle connection, tightening my back before I move. Squeezing through the range. Squeeze and hold here for 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Controlling back up. Go for one more. Shoulder blades are drifting up. Tightening my back. I'm going to make my back pull my elbows in this wide arc like a windshield wiper. And fight it all the way back up to the starting position. Set 3. Rest 1 minute. So that windshield wiper analogy that I just made, I don't know where my skeleton is, but what I mean by that is I'll try to show you here. So if I'm seated, so envision like the windshield wipers on your car, right? It's raining and they're moving like this. This is the plane that we're moving through right here. This wide arcing circle. This is the way we're moving. So your hands are here under the bar, and then your elbows are going to move like this in this wide arc. The reason that's important is because let's say we didn't have this wide bar, because there's different handles, for different pull downs. If I had a more narrow bar, that's going to be a completely different plane of motion than this wide bar. So if I had a narrow grip here that they have on these pull downs, and I'm pulling this way here, completely different path than this here. And the reason that matters for your lats is due to that introduction that I went over and the attachment sites. Since your lats attach, and one of their functions is pulling your arm from here in this plane, and they also do this plane, you affect recruitment of your lats by hand position, which is why they have these different grips. But the way you think about that path and how you maintain that path determines if you utilize that path. And this is where the magic is. This is why a pull down isn't a pull down. Just because you tell me I did 3 sets of a pull down, my first thought to people nowadays is, what did they do? Because I don't actually know. Because a pull down isn't a pull down if you don't know how to do it. Let's go. Next set. Here we go. 1 minute. Timer set. Ass in the seat. Hands wide. Monkey grip. Shoulder blades are up towards my ears. I'm going to depress my shoulder blades and then move my shoulder blades with my arms as I pull. Squeeze and hold. 4-step rep. This is step 2. Step 3, I'm controlling this bar all the way up. What's step 1? Step 1 is going to be I'm going to tighten my back before I move. Step 2, I'm going to tighten my back so hard that my back pulls my elbows down and in this wide arc as low as I can, keeping this vertical position of my forearms. Step 3, I'm going to squeeze and hold. And then step 4 is the only reason this bar is going to move up is because my lats are allowing the bar to move up. Now look at this. If I'm here and I just release the bar, that was no work. If I'm here and I make my lats release the tension, and that's what allows the bar to move, that's a completely different thing. And it's the same reason why this isn't the same as this. And I'm way over a minute. I'm going to squeeze here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A pull down is a very complicated movement. Your lats are one of the biggest muscles in your body. So if you notice in a pull down, my reps were way less than in most things. I will eventually go faster. Some of this was because there's so much to cover technique-wise that I kind of have to go that slow today. Our next workout will be a little different. But because your lats are so big, it means that the range of motion is a lot bigger too. So I'll give you a good comparison. A bicep curl. We're taking the bar from here to here, not a ton of range. A chest press, we're going from here to here, not a ton of range. A freaking pull down, you're going all the way from here through this huge path of motion. So what that does is it changes the time under tension variables, because since there's so much more range, it's going to take longer to get there. So different things we can play with are different tempos. I'm going to change your tempos throughout this program from maybe a 2-second contraction pulling down and a 1-second hold to 3 or 4 going up. We're going to play with these different things. Today was just super slow, but these things will change. There's a ton to cover in this back course, and it's so important that we lay these foundations now, because this is the value right here. The magic is not in the exercise. The magic is how well you execute the exercise. And I'm gonna make sure that every single one of you knows how to do these things, because that's what's hard on my end. It's really easy as an instructor to motivate. It's really easy for me to say ass and shit and fuck and all these things. What's really hard is to teach how to do a pull down. So that's what I'm trying to get better at. And that's what we're gonna do today. Let's go to our next exercise.